Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Muet workshop focusing on Paper 2 speaking. Throughout this workshop, we will look closely at the structure, requirements, and expectations of the Muet speaking test to help you perform confidently and effectively. For Muet Paper 2, the weighting is 25% with a duration of 30 minutes. This Paper 2 consists of two parts. Part 1, which is an individual presentation, and Part 2, which is a group discussion. Both parts are thematically related, meaning they usually revolve around similar themes, but the tasks and skills required are different. Both parts assess how effectively you communicate your ideas in English, not just what ideas you have. Let's take a look at the task description, preparation time, and speaking time. In Part 1, one situation is given to all candidates. However, each candidate receives a different suggestion, opinion, or solution related to that situation. Remember, your task is to speak only about the suggestion given to you. You are not required to agree or disagree with others in this part. For Part 1, you are given 2 minutes to prepare your ideas before speaking. Each candidate is then given 2 minutes to present, whereas in Part 2, a new situation will be given with 5 ideas presented in a mind map. Your task is to discuss these ideas as a group, support or oppose different viewpoints, and finally reach a group decision on the best suggestion, solution, or opinion. Notice that both tasks in Part 1 and Part 2 are somehow thematically related. For Part 2, you are given 3 minutes to prepare. After that, the group will discuss the task for 8 to 12 minutes. If there are only 2 candidates, the discussion lasts 4 to 8 minutes. If there are 3 candidates, the discussion lasts 6 to 10 minutes. In Muet speaking, Part 1 focuses on familiar topics such as family, education, or daily life. In contrast, Part 2 often involves unfamiliar topics which require deeper thinking, evaluation, and interaction. The Muet speaking test accesses 2 main areas of knowledge. First, linguistic knowledge, which includes accuracy, range, fluency. Second, subject knowledge, which refers to how well you understand and discuss the topic given. The test also evaluates aspects of language use, including language functions, pragmatic competence, and social linguistic competence. This means examiners assess how appropriately and effectively you use language in different speaking situations. In Part 1, you are expected to be able to express opinions, give reasons, elaborate, justify, summarize, and lastly conclude. In Part 2, in addition to those skills, you must also to be able to infer, evaluate, initiate discussion, prompt others, negotiate, take turns, and interrupt politely. You may refer to the YouTube link presented by NPM to familiarize yourself with the task setting and procedures. You may also observe how the candidates answer the tasks given in Part 1 and Part 2. The image here is taken from the YouTube link just now. It shows the sitting arrangements for candidates during the speaking test. Candidates are seated facing each other to encourage interaction, especially during Part 2. Again, you may refer to the video link provided for a clearer understanding. Now that you may have some ideas of what Muet speaking test is, let's focus on Part 1. In Part 1, only one examiner gives instructions. You will receive a task sheet and writing sheet. There's no question and answer session in Part 1. You must listen carefully to all instructions given. Here's the flow. First, you are allowed to jot down notes or ideas on the writing sheet. Next, you read the questions carefully. Then, the examiner briefs you on the rules before the task begins. For example, the examiner may say, "Your questions are all about ways parents can make their children happy. You now have 2 minutes to prepare your presentation, alright?" After allowing 2 minutes, the examiner will say, "Okay, candidate A, it's your turn first. Talk about the importance of spending time together." After candidate A finishes, the examiner continues with the next candidate. "Thank you. Now, candidate B, talk about the importance of parents giving their children affection." Same goes to the rest of the candidates. Take note on all the questions given to all the candidates. The format, timing, and instructions in part 1 are the same for all candidates. Only the assigned opinion or suggestion differs from one candidate to another. Moving on to the next slide is the presentation structure. Your part 1 presentation must include an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. This structure is essential for clarity and coherence. Let's look at the structure bit by bit. In the introduction, you should greet the examiners and the candidates, read or paraphrase the situation, state your main points clearly. In the body of your presentation, you should present point 1, explain and elaborate it, give an example, and summarize. Do the same for points 2 and 3. In the conclusion, you should restate the task, summarize your main points, and lastly, thank the examiners. When you first read the task sheet, you should highlight the key points. Take this sample as an example. Here's the situation. It is important to have a happy family. Suggest some ways parents can make their children happy. Candidate A, you have to give a presentation to your class. Talk about the importance of spending time together. What should you highlight here? Firstly, identify the main criteria, which is to have a happy family. And what's next? You need to suggest some ways parents can make their children happy. Take note on the two subjects here, the parents and the children. Not about the teachers and not about the students, but on how parents can make their children happy. So, as candidate A, what exactly do you need to do? You need to present about why it is important for parents to spend time with their children together. As what I have pointed out before this, spending time together is highlighted here. To elaborate further for your individual discussion, you should present a maximum of 3 points. The points include point 1, children feel loved and cared for. Point 2, enhancing bonds with children. Point 3, improving the mental health. The conclusion restates that spending time together creates a happy family and results in happy children. This is how you may outline your task using the writing sheets provided for you. Do not write in full sentences when preparing your task. Believe me, you may run out of time later. Write only the keywords or key phrases. Then, you need to know in each part what are the useful expressions that you may use. For instance, to kickstart, after the greeting, you may use "in my opinion" to point out your viewpoints. For more details, let's move on to the next slide. Now, pay attention to this full presentation of Task 1. You will notice the useful expressions are all highlighted in blue for your reference. Let me read out loud for you. So after the greetings, good morning everyone, you start with the first part, which is the introduction. You can use the useful expressions like "in my opinion," then you paraphrase the situation or you read the situation. Parents can make their children happy by spending time with their children. So spending time with their children is the point given to you for you to elaborate. So you mentioned it in the very beginning in your introduction. So next, remember we have 3 points. The first one you start with, my main point is that the presence of parents in their children's lives makes children feel loved and cared for. So you continue to elaborate. Children feel secure and develop positive behaviors and attitudes. At the same time, children become more confident and cooperative. You give example. For example, they are more willing to listen to their parents' advice as they know that their parents love and care for them very much, thus wanting the best for them. This leads to less behavioral problems such as aggressiveness, violence, and substance abuse. Before you move on to the next part to talk about a new point, you summarize everything for this paragraph first. Thus, when parents spend time together with their children, the children feel contented and happy as they create happy families, happy memories together. And move on to the next part. Secondly, parents who spend time with their children get to enhance the bond with their children. So this is your second point. Then you continue to give elaborations and also give examples. Do the same for the point as well. So lastly, for the conclusions, in conclusion, I believe that, so talk about the task given for you, which is spending time together is important in creating a happy family. Then you summarize all the 3 points. The love and care shown by parents enhances the bond between parents and children and improves the mental health of their children. The benefits of parents spending time with their children is manifold. Hence, parents can make their children happy by spending valuable time together. That's all from me, and thank you so much. So this is how your individual presentation for part 1 should look like. Apart from the useful expressions that I highlighted for you in previous slides, these are also some other useful expressions that you may use to express opinions. Besides using in my opinion, you can use I believe that, I would say that. To give reasons, this is because this is due to one reason is to elaborate. This means that to elaborate according to justify the evidence shows that there is evidence to support. Then you give example. The best way or the best solution is because. Summarizing, in short, let's sum up the main points. Allow me to summarize the main points and to conclude. In conclusion, hope that you are now clear of task 1, individual presentation. To test your understanding, let's try this out. Here's the sample task. Let's look at the situation. Your school is planning to organize a motivational camp for students to help them improve themselves and prepare for future challenges. As a member of the planning committee, you have been asked to suggest the most important values students should develop during the camp. So as candidate A, you think self-discipline is the most important value students should develop during the camp. So you have to give reasons for your opinion and explain why self-discipline is more important than the other values. For candidate B, you think teamwork is the most important value students should develop during the camp. Give reasons for your opinion and explain why teamwork is more important than the other values. While for candidate C, you think confidence is the most important value students should develop during the camp, and candidate D, time management is the most important value students should develop during the camp. Same things as well. Give reasons for your opinion and explain why time management is more important than the other values. So this task presents about organizing a motivational camp, and each candidate is assigned a different value: self-discipline, teamwork, confidence, and time management. each candidate must explain why their assigned value is the most important. Look at this example 1. I think self-discipline is important because students need to wake up early and go to class. If no discipline, they maybe skip class. Also, it is students must be control themselves. So I think discipline is good. Thank you. So what do you think about this sample answer? Do you think it is fine? Definitely not, right? Let me show you the problems in the next slide. Basically, there are some mistakes made by this candidate A. In terms of the structure, or what we call the organization, it lacks introductions and conclusion. Points are rather random and without a logical flow. For language, it is obvious that the sentences are incomplete and grammatically inaccurate. Vocabulary used are repetitive. Fillers like occur throughout, which show hesitation and unconfidence. So all these mistakes are the ones that you should avoid. What about example 2? Can you trace any problems? Teamwork is good. Many people work together. Students need to help each other. Sometimes one person cannot do everything, so teamwork is very important. I like teamwork. Thank you. I guess you can tell that this example shows hesitation with all the fillers, poor organizations or structure, repetitive ideas. You can see that teamwork being mentioned many times, and it's a very weak delivery. The last example for all of us to explore. This is from candidate C. Confidence is when students not scared. They can talk and speak. CAM is good to help them do that. So confidence is important because they can do better. I think students need it. I believe you can notice the mistakes now. For example 3, the problems include the organizations lacks logical flow or clear point progressions. It's rather abrupt and underdeveloped ending. And the language itself, incorrect sentence structure like students not scared, limited range of expressions and grammar errors can be found as well. And also the hesitations and filler use in the example 3. Just to let you to see the difference, I have also provided good samples for all of you as well. The first example, let's take a look at this one. I strongly believe that self-discipline is the most important value students should develop during the motivational camp. First, self-discipline helps students stay focused on their goals. For example, waking up early and attending all camp activities requires strong self-control and commitment. Second, it builds long-term habits. If students learn to manage their time and follow schedules strictly, they will likely carry this habit into their academic and personal lives. Lastly, self-discipline helps reduce procrastination, which is a common issue among students, and can continue to give examples and so on. And in conclusion, with strong self-discipline, students will not only succeed at the camp, but also in their future studies and careers. So this is the good sample for example 2. Take a look at the useful expressions highlighted in this sample and how the points are delivered and organized. This is another good sample for example 3 particularly. So the 3 improved examples showed that to answer task 1, you should ensure strong organization, clear reasoning, relevant examples, and confident delivery. Alright, we have now finished covering part 1, the individual presentation. At this point, you may pause the video and take a short break of about 5 minutes. Once you're back, resume this video as we will continue with part 2, which is the group discussion. Remember, part 2 is very different from part 1. In part 2, you will not be speaking alone anymore. You will need to interact with other candidates, respond to different opinions, agree or disagree politely, and work together to reach a group decision. So, use this 5 minutes to prepare yourself mentally and emotionally for part 2. I'll see you shortly. We now move on to part 2, group discussion. This part requires active participation, interaction, and teamwork. This is a sample task for part 2. Unlike part 1, for part 2, all the candidates will be receiving the exact same task sheet. Remember, previously in part 1, I have demonstrated the question on parents and children, which are related to family. Like I explained before, part 1 and part 2 are thematically related. Hence, you see part 2 is also on family, but of course, this time around the discussion topic is a bit different. Plus, the factors are presented in the mind map. During part 2 group discussion, the examiner will first explain to you the instructions. The examiner will say something like, "Now, in this part of the task, you're going to discuss for about 8 to 12 minutes about the factors that can affect a family's reputation. In your discussion, you may support or oppose the other candidates. You may use the ideas in the mind map or come up with your own ideas. At the end of the discussion, try to decide on the most important factor. You now have 3 minutes to prepare, alright?" After 3 minutes, the examiner will continue to say, "Now, discuss the factors that can affect a family's reputation." Take note that if necessary, examiners may use prompts such as, "What do you think? Do you agree? What about you?" during the discussions. These prompts are meant to encourage participation. In part 2 group discussion, it involves 3 stages: planning, preparing, and discussing. Each stage is important for a successful discussion. At the planning stage, you should understand the task given and the keywords to analyze the main issue. After that, select one of the suggested ideas or give one of your own. But my advice for you is to try your best to utilize the ideas or the prompts given in the task itself. During your preparation time for part 2, outline your part with keywords or key phrases. Make sure they are well organized, in which you need to present your main ideas and elaborate by giving explanation and examples. You must use the useful expressions when presenting or discussing the ideas. We'll look into the useful expressions after this. After the preparation time, it's time for you to start the discussion. At this stage, you should know how to initiate a discussion, to maintain and even close the discussion. There must be a candidate to begin the discussion. For part 2, anyone can start the discussion, not necessarily candidate A. If you wish to be the one to start the discussion, you must know how to begin. Start with a clear introduction by having greetings and talk about the purpose and topic of the discussion. Then, all candidates take turn presenting, elaborating, and discussing about the ideas with each other. All candidates must be able to give opinion and ask other candidates to give theirs. When presenting ideas, each candidate must make sure to organize the ideas properly. During the discussion, you may agree or oppose with other candidates. This is the most important part. You put forth suggestions or opinions as you discuss the causes, the effects, problems, solutions, or even issues. You argue for your points and weigh others to come to a decision. You may interrupt, but remember, you have to interrupt politely. Take turn to ensure fair chance for everyone. Before time's up, make sure to conclude and end the discussion. At this point, any candidate can be the one to conclude and end the discussion, but only one candidate to conclude and close the discussion by stating the group consensus. Try your best to decide on the best suggestion or opinion or solution or view at the end of the discussions, depending on the tasks given. Remember, the main purpose of having part 2 group discussion is to be able to successfully discuss about the best suggestion or the best opinion or the best solutions or even the best view as required by the task provided. What if not every candidate agrees? How to conclude if you are facing such situation? Do not panic. There's always some tips for you. Say towards the end of the discussion, it is a total agreement where all candidates agree on the same point. This is what you may say when you conclude. Now that we have presented our points, we have decided that behavior is the most important factor that can affect a family's reputation. Thank you for a fruitful and interesting discussion. If 50-50 with 2 agree and another 2 disagree, to conclude, we are unable to come to a group decision because some of us believe that behavior is the most important factor that can affect a family's reputation. The rest of us, on the other hand, are of the opinion that income levels affect a family's reputations most of all. Thank you. When 3 agree and 1 disagrees, in conclusion, most of us agree that behavior is the most important factor that can affect family's reputation. Thank you for your attention. Lastly, if no one agrees with anyone, then you have no choice but to say, we are unable to come to an agreement on the most important factor that can affect a family's reputation. All of us strongly believe in our own views, though we agree with some of the arguments presented. Thank you for your contributions to this discussion. It's the same as part 1. You need to apply the useful expressions when you are working on the group discussion. This is the list of useful expressions that you may use in part 2. Remember, you should use these expressions for initiating discussion, prompting others, negotiating, turn-taking, interrupting, summarizing, and concluding. Notice that do not interrupt for the sake of using the expressions to get more points. Do not interrupt someone in mid-sentence. When to interrupt? Interrupt only when the candidate has finished a sentence or an idea. Interrupt only when you need more clarification and when the candidate has gone off topic. Then that will be the best time for you to interrupt. The rest of the examples, please read them thoroughly. Okay, let's take a look at the flow of the discussion. Before we move on to the next slide, take your time to read through this. Let's discuss this. Like I said before, anyone can start and end the discussion. For this example, candidate C starts while candidate B ends the discussion. Candidate C starts by informing everyone what to discuss and continue presenting his or her own opinion. Candidate C then explain and justify. After that, we can see that candidate B takes the turn by agreeing with candidate C. To maintain the discussion, you may imitate candidate B by asking, "Do you agree with me, candidate D?" to pass the turn to candidate D. Candidate D takes the turn by addressing candidate B's opinion. That's true to an extent, which means candidate D is partially agreed with candidate B. The discussion goes on and on where candidates try their best to address others' opinion. Either they fully agree, partially agree, and totally disagree by using the appropriate expressions. When doing so, notice that they try their best to justify their opinion by giving reasons and examples. During the discussion, you may jot down other candidates' points so that you can respond accordingly. Now, it's the time to test your understanding for part 2. Let's read this group discussion. Alright, so you try your best to identify the problems here. So that the group discussion starts with candidate A. I think self-discipline is the best because if you have discipline, you can follow the camp schedule. That is why I choose self-discipline. Candidate B continue. I also think discipline is okay, but teamwork is important. Like, people help each other. Yes. Candidate C, confidence is also very important because students should speak and not be shy. So confidence is also good. Candidate D, I want to say time management is good because time is important. If you don't manage time, you can't do anything. Candidate A, but discipline is also about time, so it includes that. Candidate C, yes, I agree. Confidence also is needed. But yeah. Candidate B, okay, so what is the best one? Then a long silence, continued by candidate D. I don't know, maybe discipline. Lastly, candidate A, okay, discipline done. Let's cross-check your answers, whether your answers and my answers are the same. So first of all, we can see that it is very obvious. The group discussions is having a very minimal interaction, no real discussion or debates. The points given are vague, underdeveloped, without further examples given, without justification and explanations, and repetitive. No clear attempt to guide toward consensus or conclude logically. We can see that towards the end, candidate B asks, okay, so what is the best one? So there's a long silence, continued by candidate D, I don't know, maybe discipline. So they just simply choose one best suggestions or one best values for these questions. Then lastly, in terms of the fluency and language, we can see hesitation happens here and there. Broken grammar, right? Lots of grammatical mistakes, lack of connectors and transition phrases as well. So remember, for your group discussions in part 2, the most important thing is you must be able to initiate the discussion, how to maintain the discussion, and how to make sure that you end everything within the time limit. For better understanding, let's take a look at the good example that I prepared for all of you. So we can see that it is a very effective group discussion where the structure is clear, and we can also see an active engagement among all the candidates, and every time they're presenting their points, they are having elaboration, they have examples given, and polite disagreement and consensus at the end as well. So take some time to read through from beginning until the end of the group discussion presented here. Take a look at the do's and don'ts. Practice in front of the mirror or work with friends. Speak clearly and audibly. Stress the intonation and pauses. Make sure that you use them properly. Use connectors or linkers and appropriate expressions to ensure a smooth flow. Listen attentively when others are talking. Participate actively in the group discussion. Be courteous and diplomatic. Accept any better suggestions. Read more, especially on current issues. Underline the main ideas or keywords. Give convincing reasons and examples to support your responses. Interrupt politely and when necessary. Keep within the stipulated time and allocate sufficient time for each point. Address others appropriately. In terms of your body language, be careful as well, especially for your posture, your facial expressions, your eye contact, hand gestures. You have to make sure that you are calm and confident. Avoid mumble. Do not speak softly and do not shout as well. Avoid using fillers like ah. Use peculiar speech like actually, because all this shows that you are not confident. Do not fidget, fold your arms or shake your legs. Don't fiddle with your pen or tap the table with fingers or pen as well. Do not give sweeping statements and generalizations. Do not be upset if you get rejections from other candidates, especially for Part 2 group discussion. Do not be defensive or overcritical. Most importantly, for Part 2, do not monopolize the discussion. To perform well in the speaking test, remember the key strategies below. Speak clearly and confidently. Organize your ideas using a clear structure. Support your points with relevant examples. Interact actively in group discussions. Use appropriate expressions to manage turn-taking and negotiation. Most importantly, remember that Muet speaking is not about having the most perfect answer, but about communicating effectively and appropriately. With consistent practice and awareness of these strategies, you'll be well prepared for the Muet speaking test. Thank you so much and all the best in your Muet speaking.